The landscape of American late-night television has always been a mirror reflecting the broader cultural shifts, anxieties, and triumphs of the nation, operating not just as entertainment, but as a nightly ritual where millions of viewers seek comfort, laughter, and a sense of shared community after the sun goes down. For over 2 decades, certain familiar faces have become permanent fixtures in our living rooms, guiding us through historical milestones, tragic national events, and the simple, everyday absurdities of modern life with a comforting regularity that makes them feel almost like members of the family. Among these titans of the late-night format, Jimmy Kimmel has carved out a unique and enduring legacy, blending sharp wit, emotional vulnerability, and an uncanny ability to connect with the average American viewer on a deeply human level. Week after week, season after season, the bright lights of the Hollywood studio illuminate his stage, welcoming a parade of A-list celebrities, musicians, and everyday heroes, all while a dedicated production crew works tirelessly behind the scenes to broadcast a seamless hour of comedy and conversation into homes across the globe. This demanding, relentless production schedule operates like a high-velocity machine, requiring an immense amount of creative energy, administrative oversight, and mental fortitude from its host, who must remain constantly engaged with the rapid-fire pace of the 24-hour news cycle to keep the monologue fresh and relevant. Over time, the sheer weight of maintaining such a high standard of daily broadcasting can take a significant toll on even the most seasoned industry veterans, prompting a need to step back, reevaluate, and seek a temporary sanctuary away from the relentless glare of the studio spotlights. It is within this context of immense professional dedication and the natural human need for recuperation that an unexpected announcement recently sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, leaving loyal fans and casual observers alike wondering what this sudden shift means for the future of the show. Before we dive deeper into the fascinating backstory and the remarkable chain of events that led to this unprecedented television moment, please take a brief moment to support our channel by hitting the subscribe button, turning on notifications, and joining our growing community so you never miss an exclusive update from the world of entertainment and culture. The announcement made by Jimmy Kimmel during a recent Thursday night broadcast was delivered with his characteristic blend of self-deprecating humor and casual charm. Yet, it immediately signaled the beginning of a highly unusual chapter in the history of late-night television. Standing before his live studio audience, under the familiar warm glow of the stage lights, the veteran host looked directly into the camera and revealed that he would be stepping away from his desk to embark on a 2-month sabbatical, effectively taking a prolonged hiatus from the nightly grind that has defined his career for so many years. To break the initial tension in the room and alleviate any sudden panic among his devoted viewers, Kimmel jokingly noted that this time his absence would be completely voluntary, a witty and direct allusion to a highly controversial period the previous September when the network abruptly pulled his show from the airwaves following intense public scrutiny over his remarks regarding the passing of conservative figure Charlie Lark. That brief, turbulent episode in the autumn of 2025 had served as a stark reminder of the volatile nature of broadcasting in the modern era, where a single monologue can spark widespread debate and result in immediate executive intervention, making this current planned departure feel all the more significant and deliberate, rather than letting the show enter a cycle of standard summer reruns, which often causes a drop in viewership and disrupts the nightly routine of the audience. Kimmel and his production team engineered a highly sophisticated strategy to keep the late-night engine running smoothly in his absence. The host proudly unveiled a star-studded, remarkably diverse lineup of guest hosts who will be stepping into his shoes over the next 8 weeks, describing them as a potent group of individuals fully capable of maintaining the show's high-energy momentum and delivering top-tier entertainment. This prestigious roster includes the radiant and energetic comedian Tiffany Haddish, the critically acclaimed and charismatic actor Coleman Domingo, the versatile comedic force Ike Barinholtz, the beloved television veteran Anthony Anderson, and the genre-blending musical sensation Jelly Roll, ensuring that each week will bring a completely unique flavor and perspective to the late-night format. However, it was the final name on this impressive list of temporary replacements that truly electrified the studio audience and set social media ablaze with intense speculation as Kimmel revealed the return of a legendary, deeply polarizing figure to the mainstream American television landscape. With a dramatic pause that heightened the collective anticipation in the room, Kimmel announced that he had personally requested one of the nation's most talked about and resilient entertainment icons to keep the hits coming, welcoming the one and only Rosie O'Donnell back to the late-night spotlight. The mere mention of her name prompted an immediate, thunderous roar of applause and cheers from the studio audience, signaling a profound mix of excitement, nostalgia, and intense curiosity about how this iconic figure will handle the reins of the show. Rosie O'Donnell is a name that carries an immense amount of cultural weight, evoking memories of her groundbreaking daytime talk show in the 90s where she earned the title of the Queen of Nice, as well as her fiercely passionate and unyielding tenure on daytime panel shows that cemented her reputation as an unfiltered force of nature. Yet, this upcoming hosting gig is far more than a simple career comeback or a standard Hollywood guest appearance. It represents a momentous and highly dramatic return to American soil for a woman who had fundamentally uprooted her entire life to seek refuge across the Atlantic Ocean. In the wake of massive societal shifts and a deeply divided cultural landscape following the second election victory of Donald Trump, O'Donnell became one of several high-profile American celebrities who made the radical, life-altering decision to leave the United States entirely, choosing to distance themselves from the intense friction dominating the domestic front. Seeking a peaceful environment to raise her youngest child, 13-year-old Clay, O'Donnell packed up her belongings, stepped away from the familiar comforts of the American entertainment industry, and crossed the sea to establish a new home in the lush rolling green hills of Ireland. This voluntary exile was not merely a quiet retirement but a direct response to a long-running, exceptionally bitter, and highly publicized feud with the current occupant of the Oval Office, a personal and ideological battle that had raged across various media platforms for nearly 2 decades. The roots of their mutual animosity run deep, characterized by years of sharp public barbs, personal insults, and relentless media scrutiny, but the conflict escalated to an astonishing, unprecedented peak in July of 2025 during Trump's rise back to power. In a move that stunned legal experts and cultural commentators across the world, the political leader took to his social media platform, Truth Social, to launch a direct, breathtakingly severe attack against the veteran actress and comedian, threatening the very core of her legal identity. He wrote to his millions of followers that because Rosie O'Donnell was allegedly not acting in the best interests of the country, he was giving serious consideration to stripping away her United States citizenship entirely, branding her a threat to humanity who should remain permanently within the borders of Ireland if they would have her. This extraordinary public threat to revoke the citizenship of a native-born American citizen and prominent cultural figure sent shockwaves through the international community, blurring the lines between personal vendetta and state authority, and creating an atmosphere of intense apprehension around O'Donnell's safety and legal status. Now, with her citizenship seemingly intact and the bright lights of Hollywood calling her name once again, the stage is set for a monumental confrontation of culture and comedy. As this exiled icon prepares to step back into the very heart of the American media landscape, leaving the quiet sanctuary of her Irish retreat behind to reclaim her voice on one of the biggest stages in late-night television. The sheer scale of the conflict between Rosie O'Donnell and the highest levels of American political power requires us to look far beyond the immediate headlines and examine a complex tapestry of personal conviction, public defiance, and the changing reality of what it means to be an outspoken public figure in the modern era. When the astonishing declaration regarding the potential revocation of her United States citizenship was broadcast across the internet in the summer of 2025, it did not merely spark a standard 24-hour news cycle. Instead, it ignited a profound national debate regarding the boundaries of free speech, the sanctity of birthright citizenship, and the lengths to which a modern administration might go to penalize its most vocal critics in the entertainment world. For legal scholars and civil liberties advocates, the statement was viewed as an alarming rhetorical escalation, an unprecedented assertion of executive displeasure that seemed to challenge core constitutional protections that have guarded American citizens for generations. Yet for those who had watched the long turbulent history of this specific rivalry unfold over nearly 20 years, the July 2025 incident felt like the inevitable, explosive culmination of a deeply personalized feud that had simmered just beneath the surface of American popular culture since the mid-2000s. To fully comprehend the atmosphere of tension and high stakes that surrounds O'Donnell's upcoming return to the late-night anchor desk, One must understand that she did not react to these monumental executive threats by retreating into silent compliance or seeking a low-profile compromise behind closed doors. True to her reputation as a fiercely independent and uncompromising advocate for her own principles, the veteran television host chose to meet the administrative onslaught head-on, utilizing her own substantial media platforms to deliver a blistering, articulate counterattack that left no room for ambiguity regarding her view of the situation. Taking to her verified Instagram account, where she maintains a direct line of communication with hundreds of thousands of dedicated followers, O'Donnell published a remarkably candid and emotionally charged post that served as both a defense of her actions and a sweeping indictment of the political machinery arrayed against her. In the caption of her post, which was rapidly picked up by major global news organizations and discussed on countless morning talk shows, she asserted that the hostility directed toward her was rooted in a fundamental, long-standing hatred of the fact that she possessed the clarity to see through the grand packaging of power to perceive what she explicitly labeled a criminal con man, a sexual abuser, and a liar whose primary objective was to inflict harm upon the fabric of the nation to serve his own personal ambitions. This uncompromising stance, delivered with the raw emotional honesty that has characterized her entire public life, provided the definitive answer to the question of why she had made the radical choice to pack up her belongings, withdraw her youngest child from the familiar rhythms of American school life, and seek a quiet, distant sanctuary in the sovereign territory of Ireland. The move to the Emerald Isle was therefore recontextualized not as a simple vacation or a passive retirement, but as a deliberate act of political exile and a profound statement of personal protest against a domestic environment that she felt had become inherently hostile to her safety, her values, and her family's peace of mind. For months, the quiet coastal landscapes and rolling green hills of Ireland provided a stark contrast to the relentless noise, paparazzi presence, and political friction of the American media landscape, offering O'Donnell and her 13-year-old son Clay a chance to recalibrate their lives far away from the center of the global storm. In this European refuge, she could transition from the exhausting demands of being a constant lightning rod for domestic controversy to a more grounded, private existence focused on motherhood, artistic expression, and personal reflection. However, the internal pull of one's homeland, combined with the deep-seated professional roots established over a lifetime of working in the highest echelons of the entertainment industry, is an incredibly powerful force that cannot be easily severed by geographical distance or political decree. Despite the heavy rhetoric surrounding her departure and the dark cloud of uncertainty hanging over her legal status as a citizen, behind-the-scenes realities remained far more nuanced than the public social media battles suggested, as the complex legal mechanisms required to actually strip a native-born American of their citizenship were never formally mobilized, leaving her passport valid and her ability to travel across borders technically unimpeded. This hidden stability set the stage for a series of quiet, highly calculated, and deeply revealing exploratory journeys back to the United States long before the world learned that she would be taking over Jimmy Kimmel's late-night television show. The public first received a true glimpse into the emotional reality of O'Donnell's life in exile during a remarkably revealing broadcast in early 2026, when she made a surprise appearance on the radio program SiriusXM's Cuomo Mornings, hosted by seasoned journalist Chris Cuomo. During this intense and deeply human conversation, the comedian dropped a bombshell by revealing that she had recently traveled back to the United States for a brief 2-week period, executing the entire journey in absolute secrecy without informing the media, her industry colleagues, or the public at large. This covert trip home was driven by a profound and intensely relatable human longing, the desperate desire to see her extended family, to reconnect with her older children, and to physically hold them after a painful, exhausting period of separation that had lasted for well over a year. Yet, beyond the emotional weight of family reunification, O'Donnell admitted to Cuomo that the secretive journey possessed a distinct, almost tactical purpose, as she actively wanted to test the waters of the American security apparatus and discover firsthand how difficult or dangerous it would be for someone in her unique position to get in and out of the country. She spoke candidly about wanting to feel what it felt like to step back onto American soil under the weight of the threats made against her, navigating the regular customs channels and airport security gates to determine whether the fierce political rhetoric would translate into actual, tangible barriers to her freedom of movement. Finding that she could move through the transit systems without administrative interference, the experience provided her with a newfound sense of confidence and reassurance, breaking the psychological barrier of exile and proving to her that the physical borders of her home country were still open to her voice and her presence. This successful quiet reconnaissance mission paved the way for more visible, high-profile public appearances, including a recent highly energetic guest spot on the late-night program Watch What Happens Live, which films before a live audience in the heart of New York City. Stepping onto that vibrant Manhattan set earlier this week, O'Donnell looked radiant, self-assured, and entirely at ease, signaling to the industry and the viewing public that she was no longer content to remain a distant voice broadcasting from across the ocean. Her brief appearance in New York served as a perfect prelude to the massive announcement that was to follow on the West Coast, acting as a crucial warm-up for a woman who is about to transition from a casual late-night guest to the primary driver of one of network television's most valuable properties. As we look toward the immediate future, the tension surrounding this transition continues to build, with television executives, media critics, and everyday viewers across the nation eagerly anticipating the exact moment she walks out from behind the curtain to deliver her first opening monologue. The logistics of hosting a nightly broadcast for 2 full months are incredibly demanding, requiring hours of daily preparation, comedy writing meetings, rehearsal blocks, and the delicate art of interviewing celebrity guests under the pressure of tight broadcast windows. For O'Donnell, this temporary assignment is not merely an opportunity to dust off her interview skills or tell a few jokes. It is an extraordinary platform to demonstrate her enduring relevance, to command the cultural narrative, and to speak directly to millions of Americans at a critical juncture in the nation's ongoing cultural evolution. The juxtaposition of her recent life as an exile in Ireland with her impending role as the temporary custodian of an iconic American late-night institution creates a narrative tension that is absolutely palpable, setting the stage for what promises to be one of the most unpredictable, highly watched, and potentially explosive chapters in the modern history of television broadcasting. To truly comprehend the profound significance of Rosie O'Donnell stepping into the late-night spotlight as the temporary anchor of Jimmy Kimmel's show, one must look closely at the remarkable, multi-decade journeys of the central figures in this television event and examine the deep cultural landscape that makes this moment feel so monumental. The path that brought Rosie O'Donnell to this specific juncture in her life is a testament to the unpredictable, often turbulent nature of American celebrity, charting a course through the highest peaks of commercial success, personal reinvention, and intense ideological warfare. Born in Commack, Long Island, her early life was marked by profound personal tragedy, specifically the devastating loss of her mother to cancer when Rosie was just a young teenager, an event that deeply shaped her emotional resilience and ignited a fierce desire to seek connection and comfort through the medium of performance and comedy. Emerging onto the national stage in the mid-1980s as a talented stand-up comedian on the competitive show Star Search, she quickly caught the attention of Hollywood executives with her relatable, down-to-earth persona, rapid-fire delivery, and an innate ability to make audiences feel as though they were chatting with a lifelong friend from the neighborhood. This early success seamlessly translated into a flourishing cinematic career during the early 1990s, where she delivered memorable, scene-stealing performances in beloved classic films such as A League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, and The Flintstones, cementing her status as a versatile, highly sought-after talent in the entertainment industry. However, it was her historic transition to the daytime talk show format in 1996 that fundamentally revolutionized her career and transformed her into a true cultural phenomenon as The Rosie O'Donnell Show became a massive, multi-award-winning broadcast sensation that captured the hearts of millions of daily viewers across the country. Dubbed the Queen of Nice by the media, she cultivated an atmosphere of pure joy, celebrating pop culture, championing Broadway theater, interviewing the biggest stars of the era with genuine warmth, and utilizing her platform to raise hundreds of millions of dollars for charitable causes benefiting disadvantaged children and families. Yet, as the cultural winds began to shift in the early 2000s, O'Donnell underwent a profound personal and ideological transformation, choosing to shed her carefully managed daytime persona to embrace a far more transparent, fiercely authentic, and politically active way of living. This shift led her to public panel shows like The View, where her raw honesty and willingness to engage directly in high-stakes public debates transformed her into a major lightning rod for national controversy. Laying the foundational groundwork for the historic, deeply personalized conflicts that would eventually define her public life and ultimately drive her to seek a peaceful sanctuary in Ireland. Parallel to O'Donnell's dramatic trajectory is the equally compelling journey of Jimmy Kimmel, whose rise to the pinnacle of the late-night television industry represents a story of relentless work ethic, creative evolution, and a deep, intuitive understanding of the American viewing public. Beginning his broadcasting career in the demanding world of terrestrial radio across various regional markets, Kimmel first gained national television prominence as the co-host of irreverent, countercultural programs like Win Ben Stein's Money and The Man Show, carving out a specific niche centered around broad, unapologetic comedy. When ABC took a massive gamble on him in 2003 by launching Jimmy Kimmel Live, the show initially faced immense challenges navigating low ratings, technical hurdles, and intense competition from established late-night legends who had dominated the post-midnight time slots for generations. Through sheer perseverance, innovative comedic segments, and an exceptional ability to adapt to the rapidly evolving digital media landscape, Kimmel slowly but surely built an incredibly loyal, stable audience, transforming his show into a cornerstone of the network's identity. Over the years, Kimmel's comedic voice matured significantly, shifting from standard late-night gags to a more grounded, emotionally vulnerable approach where he frequently used his platform to share deeply personal life events, such as his young son's battle with congenital heart disease, connecting with viewers on a level of authentic human empathy rarely seen in late-night television. It is precisely this immense professional investment and the grueling, non-stop pressure of steering a major nightly broadcast for over 23 years that makes his decision to take a voluntary 2-month sabbatical so understandable. Yet it also highlights the profound level of trust he is placing in O'Donnell to protect and preserve his life's work. The convergence of these two distinct paths on the Hollywood stage is far more than a simple summer scheduling solution. It is a major cultural event that carries immense weight for the future of media, free expression, and the traditional structures of network broadcasting. For the production crew, the writers, and the executive producers who keep the late-night machinery running smoothly behind the scenes, this 2-month period represents a highly complex logistical operation and an exhilarating creative challenge, as they must pivot from Kimmel's established comedic rhythm to accommodate O'Donnell's distinct, high-energy, and entirely unpredictable performance style. The decision to bring her back into the mainstream media fold after a protracted period of self-imposed exile in Europe sends a powerful, unambiguous signal to the entire entertainment industry, demonstrating that major networks are still willing to embrace polarizing, fiercely independent voices who refuse to be silenced by external political pressure or executive caution. As the first week of this unprecedented hosting arrangement approaches, media analysts and industry insiders are closely monitoring the situation, anticipating massive ratings spikes driven by intense public curiosity, nostalgia, and the undeniable drama of seeing an exiled icon reclaim her place in the heart of American popular culture. This temporary transition also offers a fascinating glimpse into the evolving nature of late-night television itself, a format that is constantly forced to reinvent itself in an era dominated by streaming platforms, social media clips, and shifting viewer habits. By transforming the traditional desk into a dynamic, rotating showcase for diverse talents like Coleman Domingo, Tiffany Haddish, Jelly Roll, and ultimately Rosie O'Donnell, the show is breaking free from conventional boundaries, proving that the late-night format can still be a vibrant, essential, and highly relevant forum for cultural conversation. For Rosie O'Donnell, this return to the center of the American media landscape is a profound personal victory, a definitive validation of her enduring talent, and a powerful demonstration that her connection to the American public remains entirely unbroken despite the vast geographical distance of her Irish retreat. When she finally steps out from behind the curtain under the brilliant glow of the studio lights, she will not just be introducing celebrity guests or delivering a monologue, she will be carrying the hopes, the resilience, and the unyielding spirit of a lifetime spent in the public eye, turning a simple late-night television show into an unforgettable chapter of broadcast history.